Before we begin, I'd just like to take a moment and thank our sponsor, the History Channel, for their adamant support and allowing me to create this podcast. The years 2020 through 2036 were the most difficult years in my life. Although my career as a detective did peak, the world around me was falling apart. Literature was banned and everyone acted as if they were robots. Except for this one girl. Her name was Clarice McClellan, and this was her case. First, I'm going to play you the tape of my interrogation with her father. Good afternoon, Mr. McClellan. I'm Detective Sam. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I want to know where the new neighbors in town come from.
Boston?
That's quite far from here. Why move to Los Angeles?
I don't know. My wife wanted to. She said something about being good for us.
So you left everything behind in the city just to be here? Why would you do such a thing? Sound like you had a job promotion.
Oh, buddy, just wait till you get married. Here's some advice. A happy wife is a happy life.
Do you and your wife have any children?
Well, we had a daughter. She recently passed away.
Her name was Clarice, correct? She was 16?
Yes, that was her. She was such a bright and beautiful young girl. She had such a free spirit.
Did she ever say or do anything that was a little off?
No, oh no, not at all. She was our same Clarice that we always known.
I see. Don't you find it strange that everything was normal and then all of a sudden she's deceased?
What are you trying to get at, ma'am?
Oh, nothing. It's just perplexing. Did she have any friends or anyone she used to talk to before passing?
She didn't have many friends or people to talk to besides us.
You claim she was quite gregarious, but she didn't have any friends?
I know it's a bit odd, but maybe others just found her disposition a little off-putting.
And do you think that her disposition was something that caused her murder?
As much as it pains me to say it, yes. I don't mean to divulge, but not even her mother are very keen on her personality.
Interesting. Thank you for your time. It wasn't very conducive to my investigation, but afterwards, I walked around the closest high school I could find. Maybe that was creepy of me, but I wanted to understand what made other teenagers so averse to individuality that they would outcast someone as seemingly sweet as Clarice. When did society become so strained that even our children struggle to accept the things that should be normal? In a more detached way, I could empathize with her father. Although he didn't seem very worldly, innocent like a child himself, I could tell he loved his daughter, but I wasn't going to gather any more evidence than I had. However, his comment about the mother piqued my curiosity, so I met with her the following week. Howdy, Mrs. McClellan. Thank you for coming down today.
The pleasure is all mine.
I'm just going to ask you a few questions, ma'am. This shouldn't take long. I spoke to your husband the other day. He told me that you're the one who wanted to move to Los Angeles. Why did you want to live here?
Who wouldn't want to live here? It's beautiful and the people here are as lovely as well.
You left everything you had behind. Why?
I'll be honest with you, ma'am. I just wanted my family and I to have a fresh start.
Well, what do you mean by fresh start?
Well, Clarice, she was different. She didn't have many friends back home in Boston. We wanted her to have the chance to make some new friends.
So the move was only for Clarice?
For the most part. To tell you the truth, she got bullied at her old school. We didn't want her to get too depressed and attempt anything.
What gave you the reason to believe she would attempt something?
Oh, there was this one particular day that Clarice came home from school just sobbing. Her tears were flowing like water from a broken faucet. I didn't know what to do, so I put my arms around her and tried to get her to tell me what happened. She had told me some kids had been taunting her at school and had finally gotten to her. She said she wanted to run away, which we couldn't have. So I packed up our bags, moved here, and got her into therapy.
So now the true story comes to light.
I guess so.
Now, what do you remember about the day that Clarice was killed?
I remember that night very clearly.
Well, hold on. I thought she was killed during the day.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, my memory isn't the best.
But you just said you remember the accident very clearly.
Well, sure I do, but do the details really matter?
Explain to me exactly what happened on that day.
It was a normal day. Nothing that was out of the usual. I woke up, had breakfast with my husband, and got ready for the day. I had known Clarice was scheduled for therapy, so when she said she was leaving, I didn't even think twice about it. Before I knew it, my husband's brother was running into the house saying Clarice had been killed, that she had been run over with a car.
And you didn't even ask to see her body? Or if he had checked to make sure?
Why would I ask that sort of question? I've known the man for years. I trust he wouldn't lie to me. Besides, what kind of sick human being would make that up?
Well, I just find it a little strange that the mother of a person assumed dead wouldn't want to see her child one last time. I certainly would if it were my daughter.
Truthfully, Detective, me and Clarice weren't that close to begin with. I'm relieved that she's gone. Clarice is better off not dealing with all this.
What an odd thing to say. Well, I think that'll be all, Mrs. McClellan.
As you heard, it didn't seem as though Mrs. McClellan was very shook up about the death of her daughter. It got me thinking that perhaps she had been the one to murder Clarice, what with her demeanor and back and forth storytelling. I wanted to turn her into the police right then and there, but I could feel that there was a big piece of the narrative that I was missing. Not long after talking to Mrs. McClellan, I contacted Clarice's uncle. He was more than willing to meet with me a few days later.
Howdy, Mr. McClellan. I'm going to ask you a few questions. You're not an old man, McClellan. Why do you live with your brother's family instead of having a place of your own?
They're the only loved ones I got left. I'm afraid to be alone.
Well, how come?
Well, you know, walls around the corner, and you fellas are always up my back.
I can see that. I have many reports here about you and your family having possession of books.
Those reports only exist because people think we do. People like to think we're unusual.
Did you believe your niece Clarice to be unusual?
Oh no, of course not. Clarice is impeccable. She's an absolute angel.
I'm assuming you and Clarice had a very close relationship. Is that true?
Oh yes, very true. She is the love of my life, my best friend.
How come you're not abhorring this murder? Don't you want justice for Clarice? Don't you want to catch and punish whoever did this to her?
Hate and sorrow gets you nowhere, ma'am. Clarice doesn't want me to mourn. Clarice wants me to be happy.
I can't help but notice that you speak as if Clarice was still here. Why is that?
Because she is still here.
What do you mean?
Oh, I mean, she's here in spirit.
You may be the worst liar I have met in my time. You know something I don't. What is it?
No, nothing. I'm not lying.
You can't fool me. You better tell me what you're hiding before I squeeze the life out of you.
Okay. Clarice isn't dead. She's still alive.
What do you mean she's still alive? How? My reports say her body was found on the concrete after a car slammed into her.
It was all staged. The morning of the accident, I saw Clarice packing an old suitcase with books and clothes. I asked her what she was doing, and she said she was going away. She couldn't take it here anymore. She knew she didn't fit in with the others, no matter how hard her mother and father tried. Just by looking into her sweet, sparkling eyes, I knew all she desired was to happily read and freely be herself. Unlike everyone else in the stupid town, Clarice wanted her life to have a meaning. That's why I decided to help her leave, so no one could come after her. I was the one behind the wheel. I didn't actually hit her. She just failed to make it look like she got hit.
But everyone saw her laying lifeless on that concrete.
Do you think people actually care about us? Who cares for the weird, creepy new neighbors? Absolutely no one. Because we knew the true meaning of life.
Well, where is Clarice now?
I have no idea.
What do you mean you have no idea?
Clarice got up, grabbed her suitcase that was in the back trunk of my car, kissed me on the cheek, and ran off.
Why didn't you ask her where she was heading?
Oh, I did while I was helping her pack. She said she was going to paradise. That smart girl. She knew I was going to spill the beans if she told me.
Thank you for your time and cooperation, sir. We're done here.
6 months had passed and she was still nowhere to be found. Another war had come and I had to drop the case in order to serve. To this day, out of my entire career, she's the one case I was never able to fully solve. And thank you all for listening.